It's no secret that Donald Trump is pretty mad that people are out in the streets protesting his policies. But is his response pure AI slop? And is it, well, let's call it pretty unpresidential? But we're going to talk about why people are actually furious with the president and why the Republican Party just seems to love burying its head in the sand. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's crack into it. Now, this was posted, no kidding, to Donald Trump's official Truth account. And I just want us to take a look at this. Just really drink it in. Bear in mind, guys, in the United States, the principle of free speech is sacrosanct. And that's the right, is particularly of people to protest their government. And so the president, who has to abide by the Constitution, in fact, he technically swears an oath to that Constitution. Well, it's not a great look when he drops his hot takes. As you can see here, this AI slop is depicts him in a fighter jet. You can see pure just AI trash, with the fighter pilot mask not even covering his face. Again, you would think as the president of the United States of America, somebody could fix your AI slop, right? Literally all the AI companies love kissing your ass. Right? Get him to do it better. He's got his king crown. The fighter jet says King Trump. It's all pretty 14-year-old. Now, as you can see, he's dropping some kind of soft brown substance that YouTube will demonetize me if I tell you what it is, but we'll say pooping, right? Onto, oh, look at this. He depicts AI-generated American citizens protesting him. Wow. Interesting. Boy, he loves the idea that he is actually dropping feces onto protesters for exercising their First Amendment rights. Now, I want to point out that that by most accounts, these the No Kings protest here in the United States, this was a broad-based protest against what many people see as authoritarian actions by the president. Now, the Republican Party and Trump himself have pretended like these things aren't happening. They've actually deliberately misunderstood. They go, oh, America doesn't have a king, which is hilarious because Donald Trump himself, by the way, has used tons of imagery. This is also AI generated and was posted on Trump's Truth Social account, along with referring to himself. He said, congestion pricing is dead, Manhattan. All of New York is saved. Long live the king. So even the Republican Party pretending like Trump isn't really a king. Oh, you're protesting something we don't have. Trump seems to think he's a king. But again, this reportedly... These protests reportedly drew about 7 million Americans out to the streets. And that would make it the third largest protest in American history, beaten only by Earth Day and the variety of things people were mad about in 2020 when literally nobody was going to work. So this was, by most accounts, an actually extremely successful and mobilizing protest. And it's worrying for the Republican Party because if you're willing to make a sign and go out in the streets, that's an indicator that a lot of people are also willing to go out and vote. And in America, indeed, we do not have kings, but we can kick you out via the ballot box, right? Now, I'm pretty salty because I am a really big Constitution kind of guy, particularly the Bill of Rights. In fact, as an American soldier, we swear an oath to the Constitution. That is to what we are loyal, because it is a compact, not even a symbol. It is literally a compact between the United States government and its people, its states and its people. And it outlines the ways in which we are going to govern this country and the principles by which it's governed. So the Bill of Rights obviously gives me the freedom to both exercise my free speech, to criticize the government, and the government can make no law to punish me for it. It can also has freedom of the press. It allows you to consume this video and not face retribution, and me to make it and not face retribution. These things are really important, right? It includes principles. For example, that the states, unless the Constitution expressly gives a power to the federal government, states maintain authorities over the rest of their how those states are governed, right? It's a principle that says that power should default to the people. To the people that live in a state should decide how that state needs to be run. And this is a core tenet. And so it is deeply troubling when the president pretends, and his Republican subordinates really pretend that there aren't any criticisms. And I want to just roll out a couple for you guys for the dinner table, right? So when someone says, "Oh, well, no king's protest," well, America doesn't have a king. Okay, so President Trump, in his first day in office, signed an executive order stating that birthright citizenship was revoked. In fact, he just sought to revoke birthright citizenship. By the way, in the United States, guys, we have a principle in the Constitution that says if you were born on this soil, you are an American citizen with the full equal protection of the law. And that's important, right? It was written after the slaves were emancipated because what was happening was that there were people in the United States who were born generation after generation, and they were eternally second-class citizens. So after the Civil War, America got together and said, listen, we cannot have this. We cannot create a country where we have this broad class of second-class citizens that exist, right? And exist particularly like as a lineage of people, right? You either become an American, right? You either your children become American citizens, right? Or you're like a temporary person here. And that principle is pretty central. It is the 14th Amendment. And so the fact that this president believes that he can issue an executive order, a will of the king sort of movement, and that his will, his personal decision, not even a law passed by Congress, his personal feelings about something trumps the U.S. Constitution. That is literally an authoritarian move. Another example, the president believes that via executive order, he has criminalized burning of the American flag. Now, the Supreme Court had said burning of the American flag is a symbolic act that, unless done with unbelievable recklessness, is protected speech. It is symbolic speech meant to be evocative, an evocative form of protest, and the government can make no law suppressing that. So, the fact that President Trump signed an executive order that says that, no, actually, anyone who burns the flag should be brought up on trumped-up charges. And Trump himself said in a literal quote, he bragged. He says, quote, his administration, this is literally quotes from the U.S. president, quote, took away the freedom of speech. In reference, he said, quote, that's been through the court, and the court said you have freedom of speech, but what happened is that when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds, Trump continued. Not true, right? This is untrue. In fact, on this very channel, we watched a video of another combat veteran protesting in front of the White House, burning a flag, and boy, wouldn't you know it, nothing happened, except for he got arrested. And this is the sort of stuff, these are the actions that clearly indicate the president believes that his personal will, his personal mandates trump the United States Constitution and the rule of law. And I point this out because, again, a lot of people are just in full seethe and cope mode, especially on the internet, claiming that, President Trump's just a president. He doesn't have it out for democracy. But what I want to point out is that in a healthy democracy, there are two parties. And the idea that he wants to also purge his opposition is unbelievably anti-constitution, right? We have to have free and fair elections with parties that are real and meaningfully different. And so when he starts tweeting things like, my opponents are the party of hate, evil, and Satan, it's a little tough, and it's also tough to take him seriously when he says things like, "Oh, the people at the No Kings protest, they also hate America. They're a hate America protest." Again, it's comical, and I'm immensely curious. If you think I'm wrong, and I see you clowns unsubscribe every time I make a video criticizing Dear Leader, put it in the comments. Explain to me in the comments before you unsubscribe how the president's executive orders trump constitutionally protected free speech. Explain how the President Trump has the authority, or that you think should have the authority, to issue, not pass laws, but issue mere orders to Trump to circumvent constitutional protections, right? If you can explain it to me, I'm all ears, guys. I'm all ears. And now I understand what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, technically he just said you should look into revoking birthright citizenship. But that's not what he believes he has done, right? Again, he doesn't believe that he has simply directed malicious prosecution of flag burners for other related charges that aren't free speech related. He believes that he took away free speech. He literally said that aloud, just like he believes he's taken away birthright citizenship. So it's not about what he can do. Yes, Donald Trump is not a very effective man, right? He's had 24 hours or 2 weeks to end the Ukraine war for the last 8 months and has gone nowhere. His Gaza ceasefire is literally falling apart as we speak. So the question isn't, is he an effective king? Is he effectively being an authoritarian? Some cases, yes, some cases, no. But does he want to be? Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Thanks to Yanko Georgiev, Bastian Himmler, Mike Fry, Christine Schumann, Chris Holmes, Deborah Oppenheimer. All of our Lieutenant Tier members couldn't do it without you. Hit subscribe. See you in the next one. Cheers.